Good morning and welcome to MySuzuki. We have something slightly different, slightly off the wall today. We see a lot of people who are wanting to dip the toe into importing from Japan. It's something we've done since the early 2000s, so we have a lot of experience in it, and it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody to send thousands of pounds across the world in full and then wait 2 or 3 months and possibly have quite an involved procedure, doing all the documentation, presenting and preparing for the IVA to the DVSA, and then registration with the DVLA, because if you do get it wrong, it can be quite severe, but it's not as hard as it seems. So we are going to create a number of videos where we're going to look at a few different aspects of importing from Japan. So if that's something that you are interested in, this is where you will find all the information. It's going to be mainly Suzukis, predominantly Jimnys. We've done a lot of the new shape, the JB74s. We have a few things that we think make what we do a little bit special, and I'll go into those in later videos. But for now, I'm going to show you one of the bonuses of importing your own vehicle in Japan, and that is when you receive the documents. Depending on how closely and how involved you are in the actual importation process will depend on if you receive a package like this from Japan. Just to point out, this is data protection because it has got names, addresses and phone numbers of the person who dispatched it to us. Going back to what I was just saying a second ago, if you are completely doing it all yourself, you will probably get this in the post, and we're not saying that this should be the driving reason for you to decide to import your own car from Japan, but we have always, every car we get a package like this because it does contain documents. But if you can see there, we've got documents, a second key, more of later, instruction book, which is all in Japanese, which is not a lot good to anybody, but it's nice to have, and confectionery, because we always get a little gift from Japan for every car that we buy. And this is first opening, so we're not sure what we're going to get in the confectionery. Sometimes we get a toy. We've had magazines before. We've had magazines with a build it yourself Jimny on the front of it, which was quite cool. So first thing we're going to look at is the documentation. So the documentation, super important. This is the export certificate, used to be called the deregistration document, or you probably still can't call it that. This is absolutely vital for you to be able to register the imported vehicle with the DVLA. You also need this, we will need this to show the DVSA, and both of these government bodies want to see the original. A photocopy, a digital copy is not good enough. It has to be watermarked. It has to be the original certificate. You may or may not get a bill of lading. We used to always get the bill of lading in this package, documentation package, and the bill of lading is something that is generated and used when the car is loaded onto the ship in Japan. The dispatcher in Japan would send us the bill of lading. We would then send the bill of lading to our customs clearing office, and they would then release the car, and they will not release the car without the bill of lading. So that is a really important document. A few years ago, we lost the export certificate and the bill of lading, and how we actually did it, don't ask me, but I inadvertently threw it away. And what happened was, we opened the package which had the gift in. We looked at the gift. This was still in the package because it's just thin, and the the package got thrown away. When we went to look at it, we looked everywhere and realised what had happened. It was quite a big deal. The export certificate was harder to recreate and come by, but wasn't as time sensitive because we didn't need that until we're actually registering the car or taking it for the IVA. But the bill of lading was super important because the dock would not release the car to us without a bill of lading. It was a little bit easier to get because there are multiple copies, and the shipper in Japan put one into an envelope, sent it to us express. We got it in a couple of days, released the car, and then we worked on getting another means of DVLA accepting the car for registration in place of this one and only document. So yeah, quite important are the documents. But what else do we have in the package? These will be put on one side, very, very safe. In the package we also have, as previously mentioned, the handbook, completely in Japanese, quite an in-depth one. What you find, we're not going to open this because we're going to give it to the new owner. What you do find in a lot of the handbooks is a good percentage of the functionality of the vehicle is all done in cartoon. So even though you can't read what they're saying, you get a little bit of a gist of it. Here is the second key. We have one key which is travelling with the car, so they can load it onto the ship, take it off the ship. That will be given to us when we collect the car. It's got a number so we can recreate it. Now these keys are important. What you must try to do is try to ensure that if you do get a car from Japan, it has two keys, because they're quite difficult to do because they work on a different frequency and not many locksmiths in this country want to deal with them. We have successfully managed to source people to do this, but it's not that easy. So always nice to have two sets of keys no matter what car it is, because if you only have the one key, if that key gets lost, it's a bit traumatic. If you've got two keys, you lose one key, you've still got access to the vehicle while you're sourcing a second key. And then last but not least, this is always packaged really nicely, and we know from the customer's declaration that it's confectionery. So it's a little bit like Christmas. Always a surprise, because those of you who are familiar with the Japanese way of life will realise that could be anything. It really, really could be anything. You've got a little bit of a clue there. It looks like it's in German. If anybody we will probably translate that to have a look, but I'm not even going to attempt to read that out. So usually it's the picture, and what happens often in Japan is you see something and you expect it to be sweet and it's savoury, like food flavoured crisps. Not like ours, a little bit more along the savoury lines. Or you look at something and think, oh well, that'd be nice, that'd be like crisps, and it's sweet, or it's things have tastes that you don't expect. Oh, and there you go. We have a little bit of an insight. Now that code will give you about roughly £2.50 off. But what it looks like is, and it feels very soft, it looks like it's some sort of cake to have with a coffee or a cup of tea or a drink of milk. And it also looks like you don't slice it like we would a cake. It looks like you get a spoon and scoop out almost like cheese, and it could be cheesecake. It's until we actually eat this, it's very difficult to work out what it is. But there you go. That is today's little gift from Japan. And there you go, just a little fun video to show you the little bit of a presence of just a traditional gesture from Japan. If you're going to import the car yourself, now I did at the beginning of the video mention that we're going to produce a series of videos. We've been importing from Japan for about 20 years. We see more and more on forums people who are thinking of doing it themselves, and you can tell a little bit by the way they're speaking that they're not 100% au fait with the process. We are because of this, we're going to produce a number of videos which are going to give some help and advice to anybody who's thinking of doing this. We can be 100% involved, or we can be a link in the chain if need be. We can, for certain times, people will come to us. They will give us a brief, give us a deposit. We will source, buy a car, bring it in, and it will be delivered to them. Or some people want to source the car themselves, buy the car themselves, and we can collect it from the docks, prepare it and present it for the IVA, and then register it with the DVLA, and doing any extras that need doing, such as head units, reversing cameras, dash cameras, comprehensive underbody treatment with Dinitrol. Or some people will import with other companies, and we will just be a link in the chain. As I said before, they will do all the importation, the custom clearing, the preparation, and the presentation for the DVSA. Register it, and then it may come to us for an underseal. Then it might go to somebody else for any sort of modifications. We do have, this is super important, we do have something that we have been working on for literally years, and we will be revealing it in the next, probably in the next 3 weeks. We'll be doing a walk round. It's all to do with imported cars from Japan, but it is something that we have been trying to crack for literally years. So that is something to watch out for. But if you are interested in, and you're doing your research, you're doing the due diligence of how to import a car from Japan, the ins and outs, the foibles, the pitfalls, the bonuses, the main bonus for you to do it, apart from a feeling of achievement, the main reason to do it is to save money, because obviously everything that you do will save somebody else doing it, and if somebody else doing it, quite rightly, you have to pay them for it. But if you do it all yourself, there is a sense of achievement, but also there's a monetary, there's a financial gain for you to do it yourself. It's not that difficult. However, I have personally met in the last 6 months 2 different people who it was absolutely impossible for them to register their vehicle. One was a Jimny owner. That's quite a long story. The other one, it was a guy who I met at the DVSA. I was chatting to him because he was asking anybody. He was a little bit desperate for advice, because he had bought a Toyota Land Cruiser from France, and it was armour plated, and it was a number of vehicles that had been ordered by a customer in the Middle East, and it was surplus to requirements. He'd bought it, brought it to the UK, thought that he could register it. He couldn't register it because the country of origin wasn't Japan. The country of origin, I can't even remember where it was built, but it was built outside the scope of the countries that the DVSA deem have a similar standard of safety. So he was thinking of putting a container, exporting it to the Middle East and trying to sell it out there. Quite a unique story, but it's not unheard of. So if you want any tips, tricks, help and advice, we're on the phone if you want to give us a call. But look out for the videos. It may or may not help you. Till the next time.